Kurgan.
Hang on. You see that?
I saw that. It's scary.
Yeah,
I've already filled my pants.
I know. I'm sorry about that. I think early on in the show maybe it was a bit too much, but
Oh, it needs a trigger warning. Oh, I guessed you'd be coming as a Kurgan today. I love this T-shirt so much. It has to be Flash. Although I did try the Brian Blessed beard, but it's not grown out enough.
no. That takes a lot to get a beard like that.
And I can actually see the comments. So hi, Alison. Nice to you. And Sam as well. Brilliant. So I think we've got all members of Old Kids on the Block here as well.
Fantastic.
That's great. Yeah.
That's good. I can't see you, but maybe we don't need to worry about that, which is weird.
Last time. I can see you this time, though, so I think we're one better than last time where we couldn't see each other.
Yeah.
It was like being on it was proper 80s. It was like we were on the phone.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. No, let's not mess with it. We got them first time. It's all good. The dogs had to suffer a bit for me having this costume, but, you know. It's a good price to play for art.
Yes, our art. Oh, Benjamin Moss Bazina. I don't need. Nice to meet you. Is it Ben or Benjamin? But I don't. Is that with someone you know, Guy, or is this?
No, I don't think so.
Oh well, nice to meet you. Welcome to Film Club. Well, I guess you better explain what we're doing here, actually, because I know Sam and Alison know. But the idea of a film club is that Guy and I go back in our DeLorean, which has been retrofitted with a flux capacitor, so we can go back in time. So what we do is go to a local. Oh, Ben. Hi, Ben. No problem. We go back to a local video shop where you could rent videos, and we choose Well, we try and choose one video to rent because we're poor at this point. We're not the multi-million, pound rock stars and authors as we are today. So we had to just settle for one video. So we had to decide which one we were going to rent, where we were going to spend our 50p, and then this month. We're looking at films where Queen did the soundtrack, and the two really big films, and I'm not sure if they did any afterwards actually, but the two really big films they did was Highlander and Flash Gordon. So obviously we've got Guy here dressed as a Kurgan, who, we should have given a trigger warning on that.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I'm Flash. Cool. So what have you been up to, Guy?
To be honest, I've spent the past 6 months training for the sequence that you saw at the beginning. That's taken quite a bit of time. I've completely transformed my body beyond all recognition. And just living, getting ready for the part, living as the Kurgan, beheaded sort of I started with vegetables, and then sort of gradually moved on, just to get ready for this day, basically. How about you?
Was that what you were doing in Aldi then? Is that what I read about in the news?
Yeah.
The kerfuffle. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I've been properly living 80s recently. I don't know if did you have an 8-bit computer when you were a kid, like a Spectrum or a Commodore or something like that?
No, I had one of those cartridge computer games that basically had tennis on it, where it had the two bars that go up and down like that, and a race car, and that's as close as I got. I didn't have a computer.
Atari something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I can't remember what it was. I mean, now they're really they're worth a fortune now, those games, but mine got lost in the midst of time.
Okay, I've been properly living 80s. I finished a game from a Spectrum this week called Manic Miner, which I didn't realise was so hard to finish, because I posted it on a Facebook group thinking it'd get very little interest, and over 500 people were like, wow.
Wow.
So I've been kind of doing that, really. I've been just doing proper 80s things. Oh, I just realised Ben probably got no idea who we are, actually. Quickly say who you are before we carry on.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sorry, Ben. Yeah, I don't dress like this all the time. 50% of the time, maybe. But we're both writers. I've written 2 books, both sort of historical kind of detective things, and sort of working on a third at the moment. I've kind of written other books in the past, but they're the ones that actually saw the light of day. Yeah, I divide my time sort of pretty much doing writing, and when I'm not doing that, doing gigs. I play piano as well, and teach a bit of piano. And yeah, that's me basically. Yeah, over to you, Alan.
Okay, and just to point out, Guy, as well as being an amazing author, is an absolutely magnificent jazz pianist as well. He helps out a lot with our, if you haven't seen our Old Kids on the Block video with Flash Gordon. Yes, I'm an author as well. I'm on book 4, I think, called Valhalla, which is coming along nicely. I'm hoping that'll definitely be finished this year. Absolutely. And there'll be more to come on that. Cool. Yeah, sounds very intrigued by your new book. See.
It's cool. I sort of haven't written for I write on and off. I don't write sometimes. It depends, like both of us, when time allows. But yeah, it's coming on all right now. I've kind of I feel like I've got a handle on it. So yeah, I keep doing little images that I sort of think of, and just to intrigue people, really.
Alison's talking about dial-up. I'm going even, well, for me, it's pre-dial-up. I'm talking about loading games on tape, cassette tape.
Yeah.
That's how far back I'm going with my stuff. Anyway, did you obviously Ben can do this next time, and I know Alison has gone proper posh today. She's taken a Viennetta out of the freezer.
Yeah.
What did you bring as a 80s snack to eat with our 80s films?
I've got some refreshers, which but they're the chewy ones. They're not. So I don't know if they're authentic 80s ones. I was a bit paranoid they wouldn't be. So I also got a drumstick as well, just to sort of pull a few teeth out en route, and a finger of fudge as well, because it's just enough to give the kids a treat. But they haven't had a treat because I'm eating it, so they'll have to miss out.
Okay, well, I went slightly different. Yeah, please, if you've got a treat, a 80s snack with you, please tell us on the chat, which I can see this week, which is great. Yeah. Because it's nearly Easter, I went for an Easter egg, so I got a Twix Easter egg.
Oh, nice.
So I've got. It's a bit of a weird one. It's kind of like a flying saucer. I don't know if it's the way of saving stuff. So 80s, this would be very much like that. And I kind of use this for my promotional kind of throw in the egg bit.
Yeah.
From the scene in Ming's throne room. So I got that, and it's got a Twix in it as well. So it's not quite 80s, because I think in the 80s there would have been at least two Twix bars. I mean, so 4 Twixes. Oh, yeah. I'm getting confused now. four fingers of Twix, and this as well. So that's my 80s snack. I decided to go for an Easter egg because I love Easter eggs. So did I sit on it? How rude! How rude! No, I did not sit on it. And if I sat on it for ages, a Twix wouldn't pop out of it either. Right, right. So should we get on with the meat of the show now? I had Highlander as the first one to tackle to see. Okay. So let's go through this. So I think you were gonna sing the merits of Highlander, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to start with the synopsis?
Yeah.
And I'll just.
Yeah. Okay. Is Ming making an appearance? You never know. He could do. Synopsis of Highlander. Yeah. So basically, I'm going to try not to do what I always do and do loads of spoilers. I'm not going to do that this time. The idea of Highlander is this guy finds himself. Well, basically, he's immortal. And as he sort of goes through the ages, he sort of realizes that there's other immortal people, and they're all going towards this sort of final confrontation, which they don't know where it is. It's in some faraway land. It basically all starts when he's killed the first time, and then he comes back and he thinks that everyone in his village is sort of the 1500s. He thinks everyone's going to sort of be really happy, but they don't. They just totally chase him out of the village and make him an outcast. So it's kind of it's a sort of partly action movie fantasy, but there's some really good meaty bits to the story about kind of what would it mean if you're actually sort of immortal, and you've got to sort of go through, he's sort of 500 years old at the beginning of the film, which is obviously set in the 80s. So he's had all of that sort of loss, but also all that experience, mixed with some really top-notch sword fighting and excellent action all round.
That sounds good. I just got to answer Sam. Yes, if Ming wanted to pop in, Ming the Merciless could pop in on camera if he wanted to. So to make that clear, Ming is not excluded. This is a very inclusive environment that we've got. One bad guy here. I'm a good guy. It's absolutely fun. So, any sequels for Highlander?
Yeah, well,
stop with this film.
Yeah, there was a Highlander 2, which unfortunately it suffered. They were filming in Argentina, and the filming started off well. Sean Connery was back in it, and it then suffered. The economy sort of suffered some kind of collapse while they were doing it, and the production team yanked the director away who directed the first one, Russell McCarthy. He was gone, and they completely changed the story and everything about it, and it then became rated as one of the worst films ever made. And having seen it, I haven't seen it recently. I do remember seeing it, and it was pretty bad. It doesn't stick. The problem is it basically doesn't stick to the original film. They just completely changed it and put this like absurd sort of alien story in it, and it was really bad. Then they then made a third one, which is actually a sequel, which I don't know if I've seen, but it's supposed to be way better, and it actually follows along from the sort of original movie, and what was sort of set up in that, rather than just completely changing it, which is obviously not a good idea.
Highlander 2, I remember being awful, which meant I didn't watch Highlander 3.
No.
From thinking about it, I mean, it was crying because it was a complete film. It wasn't designed to be part of a series.
Yeah,
I think really, and it kind of comes to a very conclusive end, really, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
Really looking at I think you were looking at a prequel, really, but they never did that, as far as I know. But it might be done true. It might be that. Okay.
There was a TV series as well, which I think ran for quite a while, which I do remember watching. It was sort of in the, I was at uni, I think, sort of in the 90s maybe, and it was pretty good. But the thing is, the film is so good, and it's so kind of quirky. It's kind of hard to it's kind of hard to do anything else. I don't know what the one's going to be like. They're making one now, but it worries me a bit. I don't know. They'd have to be going some to, top the original, I think.
Yeah, I agree. So it was released in the cinemas in 1986. So we're probably looking about 1988. We're looking at it in the video shops. Original certificate 15, which did surprise me a little bit because there was sex and boobs in this, and I thought sex and boobs made it automatically an 18. But apparently, maybe there's not enough boob. It was maybe more boob, or maybe it needed clear nipple. I don't know what it needed, but it didn't make it be an 18.
No.
Oh, hang on, I got someone at the door. Hang on.
It's Ming.
It's Ming. Death to Ming.
I know that scream.
I'm going to throw now because I'm eating the egg. Right. God, I should have eaten the egg. I should have kept that. Yeah. Okay. For my notes, it cost 16 million to make. Yeah. But only made 6 million. Although I've heard a few different things. So I think it's a massive commercial loss, which is perfect for Film Club, because we're thinking about, films that there's a lot of films that absolutely died in the cinema, then got a real cult following and really did well on video.
Yeah. It was another story like the Green Mile. Cinema I can think of, but there is loads. But yeah, it totally died the death. And then it made big. And I don't know if there was no, apart from Sean Connery, who's not in it for very long. Yeah. that there weren't any well-known. Although Christopher Lambert was well-known because he'd done Greystoke a couple of years before, which is where the director sort of saw, he kind of saw him. But whether originally Kurt Russell was down to do it, but he sort of pulled out. And maybe it's just like this guy with the odd accent. Maybe they just didn't pull in the same crowds as a name might have done. I don't know, because it's a cracking film. There's like literally, and like some of the reviews, I was reading a couple of reviews of it, and it sort of said, "Oh, it's a mess," and it doesn't sort of have a point. But I thought it was great, and one thing I really love about it is that the opening shot in Madison Square Garden, and it was that shot actually was the first of its kind, using a sort of computer operated camera on wires. And the shot sort of goes to him looking really tired and everything, and then there's the wrestling and everything, and then it goes to Scotland in the 1500s, this battle. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and it's almost like I like sort of dual timeline things anyway, and I thought it was a sort of fantastic way to do the film, and it keeps flipping between those two things. And of course, now we've seen it from the point of view, we know who the Highlander is. But when you see it for the first time, it's like, well, what the hell is this? Is this guy, he's still alive? What's going on? And it's brilliant. It's like it reads like maybe I like it because it's like a novel. I don't know, but
no, definitely. So that's a good segue into who's in it then. So you mentioned Christopher Lambert, who's Conor McLeod.
Yeah.
I remember him more from a film I love. And they're doing loads of these at the moment. Films are based on computer games. He was Lord Raiden in the Mortal Kombat film in 1995, which I love. That's why I remember him from. So who else is in this film, Guy?
So you got Sean Connery. Obviously needs little introduction. James Bond fame. Clancy Brown, who is the Kurgan. Did absolutely brilliant. I thought it was great. He was so scary in it, and apparently he was so scary that some people in the crew wouldn't go near him. It was so convincing that he genuinely frightened people in real life. There's an actress called Beatty Edney, I hope I said her name right, who was Heather, who is his sort of love that, he kind of, she grows old and he doesn't, which is really sad. It's a very sad bit of the film.
Hold on, talking about... Did you watch the serialization of Poldark, the recent one? Because she was in that.
Yeah.
She was and it went to show she could. Very good actress. She's very different as Prudy. Versus Heather.
Yeah. Really cool. Roxanne Hart, who was Brenda. Again, lots of movies. I can't think of anything you might know something specific she was in. I sort of know her as a face. I recognised her.
I didn't know her, to be honest. There was no other films I recognised her from.
No, I think sort of film and TV then, and Alan North, who was he always ends up playing police chiefs.
Wow.
He was in Police Squad. He was also the police chief in Police Squad. It might be where you recognise him from. That's the main sort of thrust of it. But were there a few others? That's the main ones, but you might have got some that I didn't.
I love all as you know, I like all the actors who are probably not lower down the cast list, but in other things. So there's a guy called John Polito, who's one of the detectives.
Yeah.
Is a guy called Gideon, who is in The Crow, the original Crow. So he is the guy who owns the pawn shop. He's a guy. He's buying all the stolen shit from the gang. So he's got like a really despicable job, and he has his shop blown up and stuff, but he's that guy. The Crow to visit him in that film, so he's good. I like him. There was a guy, and I didn't recognise him to start with. The vigilante who kind of gets impaled by the Kurgan. That's a guy called Christopher Malcolm. Yeah. And I didn't recognise him at first, but he's actually, when in Empire Strikes Back, where Han Solo gets and Luke Skywalker end up out in the snow for the night, and they think they might be dead, and there's some snowspeeder pilots flying around trying to find him the next day. He is one of the snowspeeder pilots. And he goes, I found that guy. And he's also, apparently he's the dad in Labyrinth as well.
He's the dad. And I'll tell you another film he's in, which I just popped into my head, was Total Recall as well. Yeah. He's in the original Arnie one, where he's the bloke with the alien, not alien, like hybrid in his shirt. I'm pretty sure it's him anyway. But yeah.
Yeah, actually, just catch up on the comments. So Sam says Highland is in the top 20, so that's a big statement.
Yeah.
And then Alison Sons, you can definitely vote on this as well. I think it looks like they were split actually. I don't know. Hang on, it's a really long comment, but it looks like the eldest loved Highlander. Okay, so two separate roads. Yeah, split the family, a bit like Brexit. Who else was in this, which I thought was good? Then you've seen a lot of James Cosmo. Now I think you usually get, if it says in a script, big Scottish fella.
Yeah.
They get this guy James Cosmo with this really big beard.
Yeah.
He's in Braveheart '95.
Yeah.
He's in Troy 2004, and he's also Father Christmas in the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe in the film, not the when it was on the BBC. And then the other person who really jumped out at me, and I think it's the face of TV, they said, was Celia Imrie, and she was Kate. She was, I couldn't quite work out what she was, whether she was Connor's girlfriend or wife, but she's the one who basically starts he's in league with Lucifer and all that stuff, and gets banished. But she was in Victoria Wood, the TV series, and in a show that I remember being really good, but I can't remember much about it, called Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit. Again, another TV. There was a film, a series, and it was kind of, I think from memory, it was like a lesbian coming of age story. But actually, I think at the time that was quite unusual to have on TV. Actually, so I think it was quite a really good thing to have on TV. I think, but I remember that being really good. But she was in that as well. I'm not sure who she was in that. It's been too long. And you mentioned the director. Screenplay. Have you got any details on the screenplay?
Yeah, so the screenplay has got a guy called Gregory Wyden. He wrote the script as a class assignment when he was at uni. Not exactly as a joke, but he wrote it. There was a film called The Duelists, which is about these two guys that go on and on trying to end the duel that they started years ago. And he based it on that. He kind of really liked the idea of that. And then he went to the Tower of London, saw the collection of armour, and thought, wouldn't it be cool if, someone had worn this through the ages? And he kind of combined those, as I think often happens with writing. We get these sort of, you get one idea and then you get another idea, and they kind of gradually sort of come together, and you go, that's it. And from that, he sort of got the idea to write sort of the whole of the Highlander, and I think he sold it for, he kind of wrote it out, sold it for quite a lot of money actually. Just one of those things that people picked up, but it wasn't quite the same. It was originally called The Dark Knight when he wrote it, and I think it was, from what I've read, it was supposed to be a little less actiony and a bit more sort of thoughtful about these sort of families that live, like the Kurgan was, like something Clancy Brown said, was that he thought the Kurgan was a bit of a pop-up sort of bad guy, and he wanted to give him a bit more depth. And in the very original version of the script that was changed, he did have more depth. He was this kind of quite conflicted, like the only reason he got up in the morning was to try and find the Highlander, and but he had a lot more sort of layers rather than just being this sort of sort of psycho that cuts everyone's heads off. There was no prize in it. That was sort of added later, and the Immortals could have children, so it's a lot more, as you can imagine, it's a lot more sad, because obviously he then goes to the sort of funeral of his sons and all the rest. It's absolutely sort of horrendous, really dark. And I think probably as if they were looking at box office movie, those sort of ingredients might not have worked, so they kind of tweaked it, which is probably the right thing to do, really. I guess as writers we think, I like that darkness, we could use that, but probably from a movie point of view, it was probably the right call, really. So yeah, really cool, great sort of bit of writing. I love it.
Okay. Obviously, you've frozen on my screen now, so hopefully you obviously can still hear me. I don't know if the comments are still coming in though. The last one I got was the one from Alison. I haven't seen one since, so I don't know if it's frozen or whether it's just your camera. But hopefully we'll get some more comments. I like to interact. Obviously, music done by Queen. Anything about that? Oh, you started moving again. Great. Any things you want to say about the soundtrack?
Well, again, love the soundtrack. Michael Kamen did the music that Queen didn't do. Originally, they weren't asked to do it. David Bowie and Sting and Duran Duran were the first choices. I can't see Duran Duran. I just can't I can't picture it. Oh yeah, Sam said all good here. Alan said, I think that people tend to forget the priest in Highlander. Which one was that then?
Well, yeah, is that the bit where the Kurgan they meet on in New York and in the church?
Oh yeah, he sort of licks him, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I read a bit of trivia about that. Clancy Brown felt really guilty after doing that scene because he's obviously pretty vile, and he went round the next day and apologised to him. So I'm really sorry for that. You know, obviously I'm an actor. You know, I didn't mean it. So really nice guy. Yeah, so music, yeah, so Sting, and I think Sting was also at one point in line to play Conor McLeod. They were thinking about getting him in for that, which I don't know. The only film I've seen him in is Dune, and I didn't think he was like the world's greatest actor, to be fair.
He was in Lock, Stock, but I love that movie. But yeah, he was. I haven't seen a range from Sting, to be honest.
No. But yeah, so then anyway, Queen got the gig, and they were originally only down to do one song, and then Brian May actually wrote "Who Wants to Live Forever." I thought it was Freddie, but it wasn't. It was Brian May, and they ended up doing, I think, sort of 4 songs that were released, and they did other things like the theme from New York, New York, which was never actually released, but they did do it on the. You can hear them playing it on the film, and obviously the songs are just fantastic. You know, "Who Wants to Live Forever." Prince of the Universe, absolutely brilliant, and they kind of made the film, and maybe they kind of contributed to the film being a hit sort of later on.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely brilliant. I mean, you know, lots of movies have songs to them, but to be honest, I think probably nothing tops the Highlander ones. I think they're absolutely great, especially "Who Wants to Live Forever." And apparently, Brian May sort of wrote it in the back of a taxi. They went to see, you know, they got a screening of the movie, and he sort of wrote it in a taxi on the way back. You know, it's kind of immediately sort of moved to do it. But yeah, so you know, fantastic songs. Prince of the Universe is brilliant. Obviously, Freddie Mercury, just an amazing singer, really, absolutely incredible. They did some scientific research on his voice recently, and they've sort of come to the conclusion from a technical point of view, he's basically the greatest singer that ever lived. No one has a range like him, or the sort of technique that he had, you know. And it's like, if you think that that's impressive enough, and then you think what he then did on stage as well while he was doing it, you know, it's absolutely incredible, phenomenal, really.
Well, this part of that thing is it the greatest soundtrack ever, because we've also got Flash soundtrack to come back. Yeah. It's Queen against Queen, and I would say that "Who Wants to Live Forever," that scene in the film and with the music, did make me well up. It is a really, really poignant scene, so the music definitely worked there. So hats off to Brian, who also starred in our Old Kids on the Block video. He did a little bit, I think, in that.
It's nice to do that. I mean, he didn't come cheap, you know. He said, "Look, I'll do it, guys, but it's going to cost you." But it was worth it. It was totally worth it just to have him there.
Oh, Give Me the Prize was the song that didn't get that as much. I remember the Princes of the Universe. That's right at the beginning, isn't it? Give Me the Prize. Where's that? I can't remember where that comes in the film. If Alison, if you remember what part of the film it comes in, I'd be interested to know. Do you remember, Guy?
No, I don't. No, it doesn't ring a bell, actually. But
okay. So let's go on to special effects. So, have you got any thoughts on the special effects? Have they aged? Any particular special effects in the film that you liked?
I liked the flaming sword, the sort of sparking swords.
Oh yeah.
And I liked them even more when I found out how they did it, which is basically they were wired to car batteries, so that every time they touched, they would spark. Probably like massively dangerous, but obviously it's the 80s, so you know, a few people get burned. You know, so okay. The effect that I can never quite get comfortable with is the end, without giving too much away. When the quickening, the sort of cartoony kind of all the sort of energy, I can never quite see past. It's a cartoon,
right?
You know, maybe that's just me. Other people might see it and go, "I think it's great," but for me, that slightly I don't know why they did it, because they didn't have to do it like that unless they were running low on money. But I can never quite get past that. It's like, the rest of the effects I thought were pretty awesome. Obviously, your beheadings, people on wires. There's a good story about Clancy Brown. Actually, he nearly blinded Sean Connery when he kind of kicks the door in their sort of tower, and he comes charging in with the sword. He's supposed to cut the table in half, but in the first take he did. He hit some sort of hanging candelabra instead, and a shard of metal flew off and missed Connery by, like
Right.
a hair's breadth. Connery sort of storms off the set. Clancy Brown again, feels sort of terrible. Apologizes to him. So I'm really, really sorry. They said he's like really nervous doing the scene. It's the first scene he had with him. Really, really nervous. He said, really, really sorry. And Sean said, no, it's fine. Don't worry. I'll use my stunt double next time. But he had a bit of a hard time.
Apologetic a lot in the film. Considering what a mean character is, the fact he's really apologetic.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah. He was a really nice guy. I'll tell you another thing as well. He didn't get paid either for being the Kurgan in the film. He didn't get a cent for doing it. They said, look, you're going to be with Sean Connery. That's payment enough, mate, basically. But and I suppose in some ways it probably did, because he's had a really good career playing bad guys and good guys. So maybe it did help it. But yeah, he never got paid. So he went through quite a lot, really.
I still don't think that's right, but yeah.
It's not.
Well, just back to Alison. She says he thinks it's the Kurgan theme. So when the Kurgan enters, it's there. But yeah, thanks. I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that.
Anything
no, it's cool.
else on the special effects front?
What else do we like? The beheadings, yeah, it's sort of all sort of pretty realistic. Battle scenes were good. Lightning-y sort of stuff. They did a lot of damage to the top of the building in the very last scenes when they're hacking through all those signs. They damaged the rooftop really badly. The special effect. So yeah, they couldn't film anymore. They had to do the take, and then that was it. The effect I kind of quite like. It's almost like a pop video right at the end, when he says there can be only one, and then all the sort of glass shatters behind him. It looks like he's going to go into song, like a proper sort of 80s like. So I really like that. That was probably my favourite one out of the whole thing.
Okay, I had a couple on the one was. There's a bit where Ramirez is explaining the quickening to Connor, and he said, "Well, can you feel that stag? Feel its heartbeat and stuff." But they really struggled to do those shoots with the stag because it was out of season, so they did have antlers. So they did with the vet did drug a stag, put some antlers on him. But it didn't work out very well. I think the stag was like not happy about this. They shook him off and just ran away. And they had to end up using stock footage to get the stag bit, so that didn't quite work out. And then the other thing I thought was interesting was that Clancy Brown almost turned down the film because in a previous film, I'm not sure which film it was, but he had a big allergic reaction to prosthetics, and there was some prosthetics in this film, so you didn't think you'd be able to do it. So you almost turned it down on that basis as well. But I think the special effects were good. I didn't mind the cartoon bits, to be honest, and I don't think they were cheap, to be honest, because it's a lot of man hours. So I'm not sure. I know animators even back in the day weren't paid those, but it was a lot of man hours. So I don't know if it was that to do, but yeah.
I've probably upset the guild of animators now by yeah. Famous author upsets guild of animators.
Oh, the Monday papers, it'd be terrible, Craig. I can see it.
Yeah.
Any funny bits from the film?
The only funny bits, well, there's a couple. What was the first bit? I wrote it down. Hang on, you have to bear with me.
Okay.
The sort of humorous bits.
Alison's comments. You said some bits of the original movie have been taken out. I don't know. There's obviously different versions. I don't know if you've watched it, sort of streaming it online, and they've taken bits out. But I didn't notice any in the one I watched, which was an older. Try and watch videos where I can, but this was a DVD. Go on, guy.
Yeah, no, there's I can't find it. There's a bit that really music. Oh yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, I remember it now. He said right at the beginning. He says, we've moved something like we've moved quietly among you, remaining undiscovered, thousands of years. And then the next scene, having a massive fight in the car park, and the sort of all the cars explode. There's glass everywhere. So, yeah, you know that kind of made me laugh. And when he said I got told off by Emma, but I thought it was quite funny when she says, "Remember me on my birthday and light this candle."
Yeah.
And I just thought, he's a bloke in the 14th century. He's just going to forget. It's a couple of years and then it'll be done. And I thought that was a bit mean, but I did amuse myself with that one.
Well, Alice got the original VHS, which is
Oh,
great.
nice.
Yeah, that's living it properly.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other funny bits? I had a few on my list.
No, that's it. I'm done with the funnies. Oh, there was one. Actually, all the battle scenes at the beginning. That's right. I knew there was another one. Most of them are quite real, because everyone got drunk at breakfast. So all the sort of people, they were like having a bit of a day out, and there's wine and beer. So they all started drinking. And basically just got into loads of fights. And this is Christopher Lambert told this. He said they just all started going at it, and so a lot of the filming, it's like, right, we'll just film that then.
That's brilliant. The things that made me laugh, it just made me laugh that Ramirez, who's supposed to be originally Egyptian. I think he calls himself a Spaniard, has a better Scottish accent than Conor McLeod, who's Scottish, which makes me laugh. I thought it was really funny to find out that both Sean Connery and Christopher Lambert worked with voice coaches. I think that money was not well spent. To be honest. I really like the drunken duel scene. I can't remember what age. They're not very good at doing that, but where Connor's really, really drunk, and he has a duel with someone. He calls, I think he insults someone's wife, and they have a duel on the heath. And this guy thinks he keeps killing him, but then he just keeps getting back up. So I really like that scene. That makes me laugh.
Yeah.
And as with a lot of really good villains, the Kurgan is really funny in a really dark way.
Yeah.
When he carjacks the car,
yeah,
and the woman's there, he calls her mom. Her mom. It's brilliant. I think when the nuns walk past him in the church, he says "Happy Halloween, ladies" to them as well. And then he's just absolutely laughing, having the time of his life while he's playing real life Grand Theft Auto with the car, rendering it down. So I thought that was really funny as well. So just general trivia. Do you have any general trivia about Highlander?
I've got a few bits. Let's have a look here. Hold on. I've done a few. What haven't I gone through yet? Oh yeah, some of it was shot in London. The bits that we think were New York. In fact, where he stabs the guy in the alley and sort of lifts him up on the sword, that was actually shot in London. The opening voiceover of Sean Connery sounds echoey because Connery recorded it in his bathroom in his Spanish villa, and the producers liked it, so they said that's fine. We'll just we'll just sort of keep it sort of slightly echoey voiceover. People. Kurt Russell was down to play. Mel Gibson was asked, but he didn't want to do it because he was going to be doing. He already had his sort of Scottish one, planned. I have a bit of quickening trivia actually. There's all sorts of different quickenings which I didn't realise. So the quickening is receiving of power from another immortal when you cut the head off. There's also a dark quickening, where if you kill an evil immortal, you could take their darkness sort of into yourself, and become sort of evil yourself through killing a dark person. There's a light quickening where you might kill a really good person if you're evil and become good yourself. There's also a double quickening. If you kill two immortals, then you sort of get their kind of energy. And there's a mortal beheading where if you're mortal and you kill an immortal, nothing happens. Basically, the quickening energy just dissipates.
Okay.
So there we go.
Oh, before we go on, in your best Kurgan voice, can you say after I say a line, you got to say, "Of course you are," in your best Kurgan voice? Okay, ready?
Okay.
This is Alison. Hi.
Of course you are.
Oh no. That's completely out of time. Hi, I'm Candy.
Of course you are.
That's for Alison. Yeah, I thought a bit was funny too. any other bits of trivia?
I might have used up my trivia. Let's just have a look. Oh yeah, the view from McLeod's flat in New York is actually photographs blown up and stuck to the windows. And other people considered to be the Kurgan. Arnie was asked to do it, but didn't do it. And also Rutger Hauer and Nick Nolte. I don't know. Yeah, I think if it was like the film before, where the Kurgan was a bit more had a bit more of a part, then I guess maybe. But I can't see either of them doing what Clancy Brown did. He was just absolutely unique. But
yeah, no, definitely. I've probably got too many trivia points to go through them. I'm just going to go through a few because we probably should get onto Flash soon.
Yeah.
I did question just in my own thing. There's a fight scene right at the beginning in the car park where the other immortal, I can't remember his name, makes an escaping move by backflipping away. Now there are two things. That is backflipping really a good escape tactic? I'm sure you can run faster than you can backflip.
Yeah.
And can you backflip with a sword?
I don't think so.
At that point, anyway. But definitely, I don't think it seems to happen in a few films where people backflip to freedom, and it just seems like a really bad way of doing it.
It's a lot of work, isn't it? Basically, compared to just running. Although one thing I will say about that is I find it dead creepy. Like I remember first seeing the film, and the fact that he backflips away so fast. There's something about it actually really weirds me out. I don't know why.
That's interesting. I would steer clear of gymnastics during the Olympics if I were you.
No.
I thought Connor was a hypocrite right at the start. He tells Brenda not to follow him after he's been stalking Brenda. So I thought that was very hypocritical of him to make that demand of her.
Yeah.
Interesting. The parallels with Arnie. I thought there's a bit where the Kurgan exits the lift in the hotel he's in, and it's kind of filmed from below him. And with the way it's filmed and the way he's dressed, I thought it was very Terminator-like. That walking out. And Clancy Brown did say somewhere that he based some of his performance on Arnold Schwarzenegger's T-800 in Terminator. So I thought that was interesting.
Oh, yeah. He's got.
Yeah, I think. I think probably. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else really to pick up on. I'll probably leave it with. I know we mentioned this in the Never-Ending Story when the directors was in the street scene.
Yeah.
But similar in this as well. Russell McCullough, I hope I pronounced that right. He apparently is the first person to be hit by the Kurgan's car. Flash! Ah! Savior of the universe.
Flash! He'll save every one of us.
Flash! He's a miracle. Flash! King of the impossible. He's for every one of us, stands for every one of us. He saves with a mighty hand, every man, every woman, every child is the mighty Flash. 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 Ah, he'll save every one of us. He's just a man with a man's courage, you know. He's just nothing but a man who could never fail. No one but pure at heart may find the golden grail. Oh, Flash.
Dum, 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 dum. Flash. Anyway, if you want to see that properly, then you can go to our previous video. Okay, so just to show, it's a video.
Nice.
Flash Gordon. So everyone probably knows who Flash Gordon is. If you don't know, Flash Gordon, the premise of this film is similar to probably every other Flash Gordon episode is ever made, because it was a kind of running serial, probably in the cinemas it showed originally, actually, because you couldn't watch it on TV at that point. But yeah, Flash Gordon battles Ming the Merciless for the fate of the Earth, but also for the fate of all the kingdoms of Mongo. No sequels, although they were planned. I think everyone was actually signed up for sequels, but it never happened due to this film also not doing as well as planned, but did better than Highlander. In fact, it made 7 million. You know, it cost 20 million, made 27 million. So it did bring some money in, but nowhere near as much as they thought it would. So it didn't make any more. Released in 1980. Original certificate PG. We'll come back to that in a minute. Yeah, definitely Flash. 80s PG is something to behold. People who are in it. I'll go through the list I've got. If there's any I've missed. We're not doing the video as an intro. Oh, you mean our music video? That'd be very difficult to do. But please, we'll put it in a link afterwards so you can see our. You know, I think I said in a comment earlier that the high production value and raw talent was a potent combination. So we'll share that afterwards. So who's in it? Sam J. Jones as Flash. Show off the moves. And the only film I really know him from is Ted, where he pretty much comes back and plays Flash Gordon again. Max von Sydow, who's a great Emperor Ming. The thing I really remember him from is being Leyland Gaunt in Needful Things in the I can't remember if it's a film or a TV series of Stephen King's book. The guy who owns a shop where people, you know, you don't really want to get things from that shop. No. A bit. I don't know how people decide upon this, but Topple. I don't know how people decide. I'm just going to have one name, but he's got no second name. Topple as Professor Hans Zarkov. He Your Eyes Only, 1981. Another Bond kind of thing with this film. Timothy Dalton, who I love, as Prince Baron. He was in License to Kill, which I love that film. I know I thought it was a brilliant Bond ahead of his time. And he's also in Hot Fuzz as well, which is a great film. Probably the most iconic person in actually there's lots of iconic people in this film, but Brian Blessed, Prince Voltan, the Hawkman. He's in lots and lots of stuff I just mentioned. He's in the Disney version of Tarzan. Tales of the Unexpected I saw him in an episode of as well, but he's been in loads and loads of stuff. Probably one of the most recognizable voices on the planet. Can you do a Brian Blessed? No.
I can't either.
My balls are not big enough. Richard O'Brien is a tree man Fico. He's famous for the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I can't remember his character name in that, but everyone remembers him from the Crystal Maze. He was the host of the Crystal Maze for a very, very long time. And then we're getting into kind of the lower cast members. People I still want to mention: John Hallam, who is kind of Voltan's number 2. He's a Hawkman called Luro. He's in Life Force, which is a really good film.
All right.
Soap Hooper film, Space Vampires. William Hootkins as Munson. So Munson's the Zarkov's assistant. I think I recognise him, and he is Porkins in Star Wars. So the guy in the X-Wing fight who gets shot down. He's also Lieutenant Eckhart in Batman as well, Tim Burton's Batman. So he's been in some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Philip Stone's in it as the High Priest who marries Ming and Dale. What I remember him as is Grady in The Shining.
Yeah.
I remember him as that, the butler who's there forever, or the previous caretaker of the hotel. He's also a guy called Captain Blumber in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom as well, in the scene where they're eating that.
Yeah.
Everyone remembers Peter Duncan as well from Blue Peter as the tree man, the unfortunate tree man. I won't say what happens to him, but the unfortunate tree man. Deep Roy, who's been in loads of films. That he's Fellini, who's kind of, I think he's like Princess Aura's pet.
Yeah.
He's in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the one with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
He's been uncredited as Yoda. In Empire Strikes Back, he's in Big Fish.
Yeah.
Kenny Baker was in it as well. He was one of those people who looks like a colourful playing card, who like poking Ming's guards up the bum with swords when they fall over. And Jim Carter as an Azorian man. I can't remember him in the film, but he was one of the ones under the sheer fabric. His first film, but he's been in loads of stuff. I think he's might be in Bridgerton or stuff like that. He was definitely. He's a really famous face. He's really, really recognisable, but I haven't seen him in much. And the one I had no idea. Robbie Coltrane's in the film. So he is the man at the airport who handling Flash's and Dale's luggage, and he also closes the plane door. And everyone really probably recognises him most from Harry Potter. But really big in the 80s, really big comedian in the 80s, and loads of different stuff. Anyone I missed? Anyone you love in this film that I mentioned?
No, I think you've done a really. I wonder if you'd spot the Deep Roy one, because he's sort of there. He's like he's been in tons of stuff. It's so cool. Made a complete career out of being incredibly small. And he was in Legend as well. That was the one. I can't remember. He sort of gets put in a pie. He's baked in a pie for a bit.
I know he's in Neverending Story. He was the snail racer, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's a snail racer. But no, you totally nailed everyone. I think that was it. I was trying to think of the guy's name, but it totally escapes me. There's another quite a famous actor, but I think you may even have mentioned him, but I just cannot bring it to mind at the moment. So, but yeah, good job on the acting research there. That's great. There's loads of people that were in James Bond as well, wasn't there?
Yeah,
quite a list of people that went.
Yeah. So I think actually thinking about it, it's been a big furore over that new Snow White film, because I think a lot of actors with dwarfism would really have liked to have been in that.
Yeah.
And basically, they CGI'd all those characters as well. So I think it was a bit. I don't think they did very well. I think it looked like he got like 1.8 on our Internet Movie Data, properly bombed.
Yeah.
Written by quite a few people involved in writing this. So Lorenzo Sempler Jr., who wrote Never Say Never Again. Michael Allen, who wrote Enter the Dragon. Now that's a film. Raymond has got some credit, but he was the writer of the original 1936 film, so I think he got credited because I think maybe they borrowed a lot of stuff from that. Directed by Mike Hodges, who amazingly, I couldn't think of a more polar opposite film, who directed Get Carter.
Oh, right.
Really dark. I mean, this is like, camp, funny.
Yeah.
You've got Get Carter, which is one of a really, really dark film.
Yeah.
Pretty much no humour. I can't remember any humour in that film at all.
No,
anyway,
not at all.
Obviously, Queen did the soundtrack as well. Brilliant soundtrack as well. I was going to say best opening theme ever. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I do like it. I must admit.
Yeah, we enjoyed performing that one. Special effects. What do you think of the special effects for this one?
Well, I think they're really good. Again, they go like you could sort of say, maybe they're a bit dated, but I don't think they are, because they go really well with the character of the film. Yeah. And I think it would almost be like a bit rubbish if they were any better. They just, everything sort of fits together. I watched just for a laugh because I really like Blind Blessed. I watched his commentary on
Yeah.
it, and he was saying that it's basically they really wanted to get the feel of the old Buster Crab ones, which were like from the 30s. So yeah, I think they totally nailed it, and it's really sort of camp and over the top and colourful and yeah, absolutely brilliant. I mean, Brian Blessed said he had it was the best job he's ever done. He said he sort of ran to the studio like every morning. He couldn't wait to get into character. So yeah, so I think special effects, and there's some sort of creepy stuff with like reaching into the tree is particularly harrowing. You've got to put your hand in as a rite of. Although I can't help thinking that's a bit flawed, isn't it? Like the best of the young men reach into this tree, and then it's like, oh, how come there's no one left in the village? But I think they could have done something a bit different, maybe. But hold a hot stone or something. But but that sort of. There's sort of but that kind of, and then it also gets attacked by it kind of falls into that horrible sort of spider thing, doesn't it, in the forest, which is quite disturbing and sort of creepy. And so I think the special effects are bang on for the film, and because of the way it's done, they look really good now. They sort of don't seem to look dated,
No, I agree. I think it's perfect. It's pitched perfectly. And I agree. The whole film is over the top, which is what makes it. But and the color. Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that Ming's universe isn't black with pinholes of stars. It's it's psychedelic, and they've done that trick where the way they did that is by putting multicolored dyes through tanks of water and lighting them differently. I really like that.
Yeah.
Max Van's. A few facts I got on the special effects. Max von Sydow's Ming costume weighed over 70 pounds, so he could only stand in it for very short amounts of time. There was a massive dream sequence where Dale Arden or Melody Anderson was dressed up like a spider. Took absolutely ages, 6 hours in makeup, and they did it. And the director said, "This is great, but it's got absolutely nothing to do with the plot." So they dropped it. Loads of effort went into it and money, and they just dropped it. Melody Anderson also said in a film magazine that the Hawkmen couldn't sit down in their outfits because basically the wings poked them in the back. So when they wanted to take a rest, they would just lie on the floor. She said like they were about to take off or something, like a bee, which she said was hysterical. And then just Sam J. Jones was 6'3", short ass, but because of his height, being very tall, it was very difficult to get a stunt double for him. So he did pretty much all his stunts as well.
There's some really good. There's a really good fight scene in it as well, where he fights Timothy Dalton on the tilting platform, and they worked that out themselves. So there was no real stunt coordinator. They just figured it all out, and the whips and everything. It took them absolutely days to film it, but they really gave it, and it's a really good, proper sort of fight sequence. And the spikes keep coming up, and the spikes were sort of, obviously they weren't metal, but they were quite hard plastic. They would have really hurt, so they had to work out exactly where they were going to land. Really, really skillful bit of work that I was kind of really impressed with that. So that was good too. But there was another. There's a creepy special effect. Sam said the brainwashing part. That was creepy. And also at the end where there's all those kind of, they're all, I don't know what they are, but they're all kind of around that console, and then they pull the plug, and their eyes all sort of pop out. It's quite horrible, really.
Yeah, we'll come to that because it's a PG, so we'll come back to that. It is PG. Actually, we'll do it now. Actually, we'll come back to the other bit. So there was that. So these really scary bits. I think that also includes the swamp monster you referenced as well. Who's basically digesting someone on camera, pretty much. Clytus's death as well, I think, is really creepy. He gets thrown on the spikes by Flash. What else is there which just wouldn't be at a PG today? I think Baron drops the B word at some point in the film. There's loads of people run through with swords or even a spaceship.
Yeah,
And there's lots of sexual references in the film as well, lots and lots and lots. So I don't think it would be a PG if it was released today, but yeah, but there are lots in it, but part of the charm, I think. Funny bits? Any bits
um,
you have?
there's funny bits. Well, the bit I always come back to is that it wasn't seen in the film, but Brian Blessed got, and I didn't think this was true, but it is, because he said it on the commentary. He got so excited with the guns and all the stuff because his favourite character when he used to go and watch them was Voltan. So when he got to play the part, he was like beside himself, and so he was making all the sound effects himself, like he used to do when he was a kid. So he was going, no, 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 pew, pew. And he wasted, like, they had to go, look, Brian, can you stop doing that? Because you're ruining every take. It's like the rockets, the whole thing. And look, mate, you know, you've got to sort of stop doing that. But it's just brilliant. I can totally see him doing it as well, you know.
Clearly, he's having the time of his life watching him do what he was doing. I think you could see how much he was enjoying it.
Yeah, absolutely. Funny bit, I don't know, there's any, it's quite funny when Ming gets run through the spaceship, obviously.
Spoiler! He's done it again! Any other funny bits?
There's some of the costumes just made me laugh purely because they're really outrageous. People go around with tanks on their heads and all kinds of crazy stuff, but it all just sort of contributes it to it being it's a really awesome film, you know. Yeah, I don't know if there's any other funny. Have you got well, there was something about Topol, but it was more of a sort of point of why would they go into the, he sort of says there's like a massive meteor shower like right at the beginning, and then he goes, there's like, it's clearly a rocket, and he goes, oh, just step in here, I've got a phone. It's like, really? Would anyone be that gullible? But they were. So
for me it was the script. So there's a bit with Zarkov at the beginning talking to his assistant Munson. You know, he pulls a gun on him to get him to go into the rocket because he needs two people to pilot it. And I think he said, yeah, Munson, why are you running away? It's like, you've got a gun on me, or you want me to go into a one-way trip on a rocket? Really make me laugh. I like the bit where Flash is using telepathy to talk to Dale, but then Aura at the same time is trying to seduce him, and he can't keep his thoughts out, and he kind of slips that Aura's turning him on, and Dale's like, what? I quite like that bit as well. I like when Baron's talking to Aura as well, when he realised she's brought Flash back from the dead. I knew you were up to something, Aura, but I didn't think it was necrophilia, which really makes me laugh as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, Alison likes a bit where Dale says, "Go Flash, go!" running for her life. Yeah, she's kind of running out the room, isn't she? I like that. What else was there? Oh, I really like the bit you mentioned before where Flash and Baron are fighting on that platform, and pretty much Flash has won and Baron's about to fall into the void, and Voltan just going, "Bye, Baron."
Yeah. See you later, the loser.
And I do like, and I think I put this in one of the adverts actually, you know, where Dale is talking to Aura, and Aura suggests that Dale poisons Ming, and she's going to give us some poison to do it, and Aura refuses to do it because she gave a word that she'd be a dutiful wife, and Aura's like looking at her like, what are you talking about? You got it across him, like, and then she says, well, that's what makes us better than you. It's probably the most patronising thing I've ever heard in any film ever, but that made me laugh as well. So the script was really good, as well as all the other stuff as well, like, you know, sort of Voltan hitting Ming's guards on the head and stuff when people were, you know, and then whistling like that wasn't me type thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. How have you done that as a larger, stronger man? Is that something you've ever indulged in? Just the fist on the top of the head, straight out for the count?
No, well, yeah, sometimes to get the kids to bed, you know, but you know, we all have our own methods, don't we? So So on some of the facts about the film, I've heard some myths, but it turned out to be myths that Star Wars and Flash were filmed at the same time.
Oh, right.
There's actually some separation there. The only connection there is that George Lucas originally wanted to do a modern at the time film version of Flash Gordon, but couldn't get the rights. That caused him to create Star Wars. What else did I have here? Interesting. The night before I watched Flash, I dreamt I was in a plane crash, which made me laugh because the film starts with Flash in a plane crash. This method acting we do, I do it in my sleep as well. What else did I have? Flash jumping towards the camera at the end, where he kind of goes, that was they didn't know how to end the film, so Sam J. Jones said, "Well, what about this?" And it and that became the end of the film, which I thought was quite cool. In the original Flash was what's he called? A polo player. But making that film, they didn't think it was quite a popular sport, quite an elitist sport, so they made him quarterback of the New York Jets. But so I thought that was pretty cool as well. Sam J. Jones is overdubbed the whole film because he basically left the film before it was finished. Apparently about not being paid properly. So he was dubbed over. What else was there? Prince Voltan says, I think as they're going into that final fight with Ming's forces, he wants to live forever. Crossover to Highlander. I mean, real life, Sam J. Jones wanted to play football for the Seattle Seahawks, but wasn't good enough and did play for their reserve team. And I did have a fact about the end of the film, but maybe that's a spoiler, so I'm going to leave that. Did you have any facts about this one?
No, you covered all the cool ones. Frank Herbert did some rewrites on the script, but that's the June Frank Herbert, isn't it? Not James Herbert. That never got credited. The dialogue one I had. Just one about Sam J. Jones, quite interesting, that he's like a really practical, pragmatic sort of bloke. So he does loads of different jobs. So now he's still going strong. He also does security work. He's a bodyguard and he does security for people going to Mexico. And he just said, I do whatever, I just do whatever job works out, So he does some things in films and then that goes quiet. So he does bodyguard stuff. It's like pretty cool, Like most people just cling on thinking, well, I've got to try and get another film, but he's like really pragmatic. Just like I do bodyguard work now, so that was quite cool. And then Dino De Laurentiis, the producer, never heard of Queen either. That was so he didn't have a clue who they were.
I think he called them the Queens, didn't he? He thought the band was called.
He did. Yeah, the Queens. Who are they?
Hello, Alison. I was going to go on to favourite scene. So her favourite scene is probably one of my favourite scenes. Actually, is the American football scene.
Yeah,
I love that where Flash kind of fights back and he's throwing that kind of Fabergé eggs at people and hitting them in the chest plates and stuff, and he runs through them and stuff like that. I love that scene. Absolutely love that scene.
Yeah, it's great.
Your favourite scene? Okay.
I think Ming getting run through right at the end with the spaceship is probably. Oh yeah. That's not the real ending, though. Sorry, guys. Just pretend I didn't say that. He's okay after that. There's another ending.
Yeah.
It's just a flash wound. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So just want to point out some things about the two films before we kind of move over to the decision, the crux of all this. I wanted to point out, I think Ming the Merciless and Connor McLeod need some sort of dating lessons. The case I'd like to make for this, if I talk about Connor McLeod, after kind of stalking her and following her to a bar, one of the first things he says is, I'd like to walk you home, Brenda, which is a very creepy thing to say. There was no chat at all. It was just like, can I walk you home? Which I think was gonna, I think for most people, that's going to put them off, really, isn't it? They're going to, my God, he's a stalker. And then when he suggests they have dinner, oh, hang on, Sam said proper slapstick comedy. People get knocked out with metal, American footballs, what's to like, absolutely. But yeah, then there's a bit where he's trying to organise a date with her when he's actually got his foot in the door. So he's God knows how he's got a foot in the door. It's got to do with the sword, really. If it wasn't for the sword, it wouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
He said, instead of saying, "Well, I'll take you out for dinner," he asked her, "Do you cook?
Yeah.
Would you like to, basically, would you cook me a meal?" And maybe you could say he's being honest. He's saying, "Well, if we carry on, you're going to be doing the cooking."
Yeah,
But
yeah.
even that's awful. And then the other thing he does, before they've even had a first kiss, he gets Brenda to run him through with a dagger.
Yeah.
Who does that?
Yeah.
So I think Conor McLeod needs dating lessons, but if you go to Ming thinks it's acceptable to drug potential sexual partners and then kill them when you get bored of them. So I think both of them need to go for. I don't know if there's classes. There must be relationship classes, but I think both definitely Conor McLeod and Ming. Maybe something to do with being immortal. Maybe being immortal means you've got no social skills, but and then the last thing, and I got to get. Go on. Do you want to say something?
No. I was going to agree. Yeah, they sort of prioritised other stuff, haven't they, and kind of let some of those little fine skills that really help you be human, aside.
Okay, so you can join on this online as well. So, who in these two films has the best laugh? Is it Conor McLeod?
Yeah,
I think he's got a great laugh. Christopher Lambert, Kurgan, Clancy Brown, or is it Brian Blessed as Voltan? So out of the three, who's got the best laugh?
That's really hard. I'd probably have to go. I'll have to go Kurgan, I think.
Okay, I go Blessed. We'll see what goes through, because I think he's laughing when he's. There's probably the bits he could keep when he's having the fight scenes.
Yeah,
he's like laughing. I think he pushes one of Ming's soldiers off the wing of the plane, and he's like laughing his head off. So he's like so much enjoying the battle. But I think he's so much enjoying. That's probably a genuine laugh from what you said from Brian Blessed doing what he was doing.
Yeah, loving every minute.
Okay, so right, we got to get to the crux of it, because we've only got 50p.
Yeah.
We got to spend under the money on things like Twixes and refreshers and all that stuff. So what are we going to go? Are you going to stick with your original guy? Are you sticking with Highlander?
I'm going to stick with the dark, moody Highlander, I think. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to stick with Flash. So at the moment, I've got you, me, Callum, and Alison's boys. I think that's 5. So what is Sam and anyone else who's there? Anyone else who's got a vote on who they want to have? Okay, Alison's going to go for Ming on the laugh. Oh yeah, I didn't have Max von Sydow in there. But on actual films, what film are we going to rent? So Sam, Alison, you need to put your chips on either Flash Red or on Black Highlander. We're gonna.
It's tense. It's
tense, isn't it? At the moment, we have a clear winner, unless. It's so hard. So a quote out of context. We'll do that quote out of context at some other point. But yeah, I'm assuming you're talking about the decision. Okay. Okay. So everything's still. Oh, Alison's gone for Flash. Oh my God, Sam, it's on you. Sam, you're gonna have to pick one. Oh my word! So on a 4-3 basis, Flash has won. So Flash is today's winner.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think both great films. Yeah. Both great films. So there was no loser here, really. And I think what we're doing is coming back and renting Highlander as soon as we bring Flash back. Okay. Yeah. I had some ideas for next film club. Did you have any thoughts? Or do you want to run through?
No, let's hear yours.
I had 4 ideas, so it's always quite a lot. I've got the long play tape conundrum, which is based on the fact that I managed to lose the end of the Cannonball run because I had it at the end of a tape with the film Arthur, Arthur. So it's kind of like, which film do we take? Because obviously both don't fit on a tape. So there's that idea.
Yeah.
Gangster films. I was thinking Oh, Alison said that was so hard. Oh, in the past tense.
Yeah.
Gangster films. Get Carter versus Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. I know we predominantly hit the 80s, but the video era probably didn't end until mid 90s.
No,
I mean,
we got someone. Yeah.
I think the video shops are shut then, pretty much, but you could still buy them in HMV and places like.
Yeah. What was the other one? I like the Cannibal Run because that was one of my favourite films as a kid.
Which one? Cannibal Run. Okay, that was one. So it's either Cannibal Run versus Arthur, Get Carter versus Lock, Stock on a gangster theme. And I had two other ideas. One was comic book. Dark Man is the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was the Jim Henson one. The highest grossing independent film ever made.
Yeah.
Or we can go for real big hitters and go for the big daddies and do RoboCop versus Terminator. So we'd have to decide now. Maybe it's something we can let the public decide what they fancy as well. But those are the ideas I had.
Yeah, that's good. I like all of those, to be honest.
Okay.
I think we should probably do all of them at some point.
I think we should do more. So what we do first, okay? So I'd say let's do the long tape conundrum unless the people online come in and say they want to do something else. Well, thank you very much.
Fantastic.
I've really enjoyed this as always. I ate all my egg as well. I hope I didn't make too much noise, but the egg's gone.
No, it sounded like you were attacked sort of mid-egg by Ming the Merciless. You sounded a bit remarkable. I didn't get around to mine. I was so engrossed in thinking about the film. I just but I'll eat them now before dinner.
But I think with your ones, I think as soon as you start chewing one, there's no way you can kind of get rid of it quick. It would have been stuck.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'd have lost a tooth to the drumstick, and no one wants to see that.
Oh, brilliant. But Sam thinks they're all good ideas, so we'll go away and we'll come back. But no, thank you as always, Guy. I've really enjoyed doing this. Your Kurgan is still frightening. And now, oh, God, God. Oh,
that's even more scary, isn't it?
Oh God, I've eaten Sam's bit of egg. Oh, I'm in trouble now.
Okay.
Oh, Alison,
50-year-old man onto the.
Alison wants RoboCop versus Terminator. Those are two big hitters. I mean, we don't always go for like the biggest films, but those are really big films. But
they're monsters, aren't they? Yeah. How do we even?
Okay, but we have to listen to the people. If we don't listen to the people, we'll have no audience.
Who are we? Who are we if we don't listen to the people? I sort of thought I'd better take the Kurgan thing off just to reassure, the fans that I am not the Kurgan, because I don't want to scare people too much.
Yeah. No, I understand. Brilliant. Oh, well, thank you very much for everyone who contributed online as well. And we'll see you all next time. Thanks, Guy.
Yeah. Awesome. Take care. Bye.
Bye.